Good day, everyone. I'm Captain Dylan. Today we are discussing C-UAS, countering uncrewed aerial systems. For the last 20 years, we operated in environments where we own the sky. If something was flying above us, it was probably ours. That era is over. In modern conflict, the air is crowded, it is contested, and it is lethal. Our objective today is simple. We are going to look at how the drone threat has shifted the battlefield. First, we will look at the threat. What is actually flying out there? Second, we will look at our tools, the high-level assets that Division brings to the fight. Third, we will discuss your role. You are no longer just riflemen, you are sensors. By the end of this block, you will understand how to use our own UAS to see over the next hill, and most importantly, how to survive using passive and active measures. When the enemy is hunting you from the sky, as primary infantry, we cannot rely solely on air defense artillery assets to save us. We must adapt our TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures to survive.
Let's be clear from the outset. Uncrewed aerial systems, or UAS, have brought about the biggest shift in battlefield lethality since the machine gun. And no, that's not an exaggeration. It's the new stark reality of modern warfare. We're going to break down exactly what this means, because frankly, understanding this threat is now a fundamental matter of survival. You know, it used to be that battlefields had a clear front line and a relatively safe rear area. Well, that era is officially over. We've seen it in recent conflicts. Persistent 24/7 surveillance from small, even commercial-grade drones has completely erased the concept of a safe zone. Every single logistics hub, every resupply convoy, every command post is now on the front line. Everything is observable, and anything that can be observed can be targeted. So, the big question is, how do we adapt? The good news is, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. The answers are already found in the time-tested principles of air defense. This isn't about writing a whole new rulebook, it's about applying the core lessons we already know to this new and pervasive threat. Four key principles really form the bedrock of our doctrine. We have mass, which is all about concentrating our defensive power where it's needed most. Then there's mix, which means using a combination of different systems. Mobility, which is absolutely crucial, is our ability to move and fight at the same time. And finally, integration, making sure all those moving parts work together as a single cohesive unit. Now, while all four are vital, our ability to counter the small drone threat is going to hinge heavily on two of them in particular, mix and integration. So, let's really focus on this concept of mix for a second. This is absolutely critical to understand. There is no single silver bullet solution to this problem. If we rely only on guns and missiles, we will fail. If we rely only on electronic jamming, we will also fail. A proper mix combines all these different systems, and in doing so, it forces the enemy into a dilemma. A tactic that might bypass one of our defenses just makes them vulnerable to another. True resilience, real strength, is born from this layered approach. To apply these principles effectively, of course, we first have to understand the adversary. So let's take a moment to break down the specific threat environment we're actually facing out there. Now, the threat is categorized into 5 main groups. And while yes, those high-altitude, long-endurance systems you see in groups 4 and 5 exist, the most immediate and frankly pervasive threat to our ground forces comes from groups 1, 2, and 3. We're talking about everything from off-the-shelf commercial quadcopters to more sophisticated tactical drones and loitering munitions. This is our primary area of concern. But here's the thing. Despite all their differences in size and capability, nearly all of these systems share one critical vulnerability. They all rely on the electromagnetic spectrum. They need radio frequency links for command and control, for sending back live video, and for navigation. This is their Achilles heel. If you can disrupt those links, you can defeat the drone. It's as simple as that. And this brings us right back to that key principle of mix. We can and we must exploit that radio frequency vulnerability by applying a layered defense, moving from the simple and basic all the way up to the complex. Our defense is built on 3 layers that work together. The first layer is passive. This is the foundation, right? It's simply not being seen in the first place. Think camouflage, using terrain for cover, and even physical nets. The second layer is non-kinetic. This is where we attack that RF vulnerability directly with electronic warfare systems, like a handheld drone buster. And the final layer, layer 3, is kinetic. These are our hard kill options, systems designed to physically destroy any threat that manages to get through those first 2 layers. And this quote just brilliantly illustrates that our approach cannot be rigid. It can't be one size fits all. The choice of tools and tactics is entirely dependent on the environment. Out in the mountains of British Columbia, we'd rely heavily on terrain masking and mutually supporting positions. But you drop us into a dense urban environment with all of its radio frequency clutter, and that demands entirely different tactics, techniques, and procedures. So having these defensive layers is the first big step. But to truly dominate the battle space, we have to fuse them all together. And this brings us to our final principle, integration. This is how we transform a simple set of defenses into a responsive and truly survivable kill web. This central challenge we're facing is this. How do we get all these different systems talking to each other in real time to shorten our decision timelines? We have to eliminate what we call the swivel chair response, where an operator is frantically looking at one screen, then turning to another, trying to piece the whole puzzle together manually. That's too slow. The answer is a seamless, integrated sequence. It all starts with passive detection. Our sensors are just listening for the drone's signals without broadcasting our own position, which is key. Once a threat is detected, that information immediately cues a targeted sensor, like a radar, for a very precise location. And then all this data flows into a central command and control system, giving the commander a single, unified view of the battlefield. No more swivel chair. From that one screen, the best weapon, whether it's a jammer or a missile, can be assigned to neutralize the threat. The whole process is faster, it's smarter, and it keeps our forces much, much safer. And that right there is the ultimate takeaway from all of this. This fusion of sensors and effectors is what makes movement and survival possible on the modern battlefield. It's what allows us to see first, decide first, and act first, all while remaining as hidden as possible. So, where do we go from here? We have the doctrine, we understand the threat, and we know the capabilities we need to bring to bear. The next step is to put all of this into practice. Our priorities are clear. First, we will conduct a deep dive into the specific mix of systems needed for every potential environment we might face. Second, we will develop and validate new tactics and procedures, especially for our light infantry missions. And third, we will establish immediate training priorities to ensure these lessons are ingrained at every single level of command. End of brief.
Doctrine and threat. We don't need to reinvent the wheel to defeat this. We rely on 4 proven air defense principles: mass, mix, mobility, and integration. For us in the infantry, this is what that means. Mix. We don't just rely on shooting. We use a mix of camouflage passive and electronic jamming EW alongside our rifles. Mobility. A static unit is a dead unit. We adhere to the 72-hour rule observed in Ukraine. If a static logistic node or platoon hide remains in place for 72 hours, it is detected and it will be destroyed. Integration. We must talk to the air defense assets. We are their eyes. For the infantry, integration means talking to the guys with the big guns, and mobility means moving before the drone calls in artillery. UAS threat classification. Not all drones are the same. We categorize them into groups 1 through 5 based on weight, altitude, and speed. Groups 1 and 2 are your fight. These are the commercial quadcopters, the DJI Mavics, and the suicide drones. They fly low, they are hard to hear, and they are looking specifically for your trenches and your vehicle tracks, and they can and will drop grenades on you. Group 3. These are the tactical ISR platforms, like the Russian Orlan 10. They are the artillery spotters. If a Group 3 drone circles you, you aren't about to get bombed by the drone. You are about to be erased by an artillery barrage. Groups 4 and 5 are the strategic threats, Reapers and Predators flying at 20,000 feet. That is a problem for the Air Force and the Patriot batteries. We cannot touch them with rifles. But if you see them, report them. UAS classification and response categories. This table provides the specific NATO breakdown. I want you to focus on the column labeled Self-Defense Responsibility. Note that for groups 1 and 2, the responsibility lies with self-defense. That means us. We do not wait for division to spend a specialized team to deal with a Maverick hovering over our section. We engage it with our organic tools. For group 3 and above, We rely on ADA, Air Defense Auxiliary Assets. C-UAS capabilities, the Coalition's toolkit. The slide details the Coalition's toolkit we may work alongside. You need to recognize these systems. Your non-kinetic tools will involve RF and EW radio frequency and electronic warfare tools, like the Drone Buster. This is a handheld jamming rifle. It is the section commander's primary non-kinetic weapon. It severs the link between the pilot and the drone. Or the Titan and Balcatry, these are sniffers. They detect the radio signals of the drone or the pilot before the drone is even visible. Your kinetic tools, alongside your rifle, are the Coyote, a small interceptor drone, essentially a bullet hitting a bullet, or the M-SHORAD, the mobile short-range air defense striker equipped with Hellfires and 30mm cannons. This is the Orlan 10 Russian recce drone. Visual identification is critical. This is the Orlan 10. It is the workhorse of the Russian military and widely exported. It looks like a hobby plane, but it is a sophisticated artillery spotter. It usually flies in groups of 2 or 3, one for reconnaissance, one for electronic warfare, and one as a relay. If you see one, assume there are more. These are the specs. The operational radius for an Orlan is about 120 kilometers. It can find you deep in the rear area. Flying altitude up to 6,000 meters, so 6 kilometers, it can fly comfortably above small arms range. This confirms why we cannot simply shoot everything down. Against an Orlan at 5,000 feet, your rifle is useless. Your only defense is passive defense, camouflage, and concealment. This is the kinetic reality of a Group 1 threat. These are small, hard to hear, and capable of dropping anti-personnel or anti-tank munitions with high precision. This is why dispersion is mandatory. If your section is bunched up, one drone ends the fight.
So today we're
Notice the thermal signature. Standard CAD-PAT and camouflage nets do not block thermal imaging. To a modern sensor, a soldier under a standard net looks like a light bulb in a dark room. We will discuss thermal discipline shortly. And this is a Group 3 threat. The drone didn't drop the bomb. The drone sent the grid reference to a battery of guns. The time from drone overhead to steel on target is now measured in minutes, sometimes seconds. So how do we fight back? Our mixed, a layered defense. We use a layered defense. We cannot rely on one silver bullet. We need a mix of passive, active non-kinetic, and active kinetic. Passive would be hiding effectively. An active non-kinetic would be jamming the signal. Active kinetic would be shooting it down. As infantry, we are the masters of layer 1 passive defense. If they cannot find us, they cannot kill us. Integration is key. We use the right tool for the right threat. You don't fire a Javelin missile at a $500 quadcopter, and you don't shoot a rifle at a high-altitude Reaper. This is an example of defense design. This diagram looks complex, but it illustrates defense in depth around a critical asset. The outer ring, long-range radar and electronic warfare to detect threats early. The middle ring, kinetic interceptors, coyotes to shoot them down. The inner ring, the airport nuclear plant, that's where the close-in protection happens. As infantry, we might be tasked to provide the inner ring of security for a logistics node, or we might be the maneuver element operating outside these rings. Our capabilities, Blue UAS. We are not just targets. We have our own capability known as Blue UAS. We employ our microsystems like the Black Hornet and our mini systems like the Raven. These are your binoculars over the hill. They allow the platoon commander to recce a danger area without exposing a corporal to enemy fire. Force protection. By putting our drones in the air, we force the enemy to react, slowing their tempo. The sensor range. Look at this dome of protection provided by the division. Way out at 200 kilometers, we have high altitude air defense. But look at the center, the green circle. That is the self-defense zone. That is where we live. Inside that 1 to 2 kilometer bubble, we are the primary sensor and the primary shooter. This slide covers the heavy iron supporting us. You need to know what these are so you understand what happens after you send that report. The Coyote missile pallet, the drone hunter. What it is, a small tube-launched missile system that usually sits on a truck or a fixed pallet. The range is about 10 kilometers. It is designed specifically for Group 1 to 3 UAS. That means the quadcopters and small fixed-wing drones that are trying to drop grenades on you. It uses a KU-RFS, or KU band radio frequency sensor, radar to guide itself. The KU-RFS is precise enough to track a 9mm bullet in flight. This allows it to distinguish between a bird and a quadcopter, or track a swarm of drones individually. Once you report a drone's location, this radar lights up, and the Coyote impacts it. It's basically a suicide drone for their drones. The M-SHORAD, the bodyguard. What is it? This is a striker variant. Think of it like our labs, but built for air defense. It moves with the maneuver element. If we are moving in a column, this vehicle is somewhere in the convoy. It packs a 30mm autocannon and Stinger missiles. Range is 6 kilometers and above. It protects the maneuver force from helicopters, low-flying jets, large tactical drones. Because it's mobile, it is our immediate protection on the move. Patriot, the shield. What it is, this is a theater-level asset. You will likely never see this launcher. It sits tens or hundreds of kilometers to the rear. The range is 160 kilometers and above. It kills high-altitude threats like ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. It protects the entire division area, not just us. How you communicate the so what? Do you talk to them directly? No. You do not get on the radio and call a Patriot battery or M-SHORAD gunner. The process. You see or hear the drone, you send a SALT report, size, activity, location, to your platoon or company CP immediately. They enter the data into the FAD-C2 network. The network automatically slews the M-SHORAD turret or cues the Coyote radar to the grid you provided. Bottom line, your radio call is the trigger pull. If you don't report it, these systems don't know where to look. This visualizes the verticality of the fight. The M-SHORAD and the Coyote cover the airspace that is too high for our rifles, but too low for the Patriot missiles. They protect us from the Group 3 threats. This wiring diagram represents the divisional kill web. You do not need to memorize the connections. What you need to understand is that the drone buster and the bell chautry are at the bottom left corner are connected to the same network as the Hellfire missiles on the right. Just know that when you report a drone on the radio, the information feeds into this network, allowing the division to bring these heavy assets to bear. When you make a report on the radio or when a sensor detects a threat, that data flows through this chain. This is why accurate reporting is vital. Your voice on the radio is a trigger for the assets on the far left of the screen. This is your C-UAS smart card. Memorize these ranges. This is your cheat sheet for the section level. Titans detects out to 1.5 kilometers. Drone busters, their defeat range is 500 meters. That is your engagement window. If you can see it clearly, you can jam it. Obvious caveat being optical wire ones, but we got to do what we can. Infantry TTPs. Now the most important part. What do you actually do? We follow the 5-point model. Detect, identify, report, disperse, and act. At your section level, your roles as a private would be signature discipline. Watch your sector. Corporal, maneuver the team, ensure dispersion. Master corporals integrate the electronic warfare tools like the drone buster. Sergeants plan the air defense for the section level. If you're under surveillance, bound with Overwatch, use tree lines and shadows, and avoid open areas like the plague. Passive defense is your shield. Thermal discipline is important. A standard camo net does not block thermal sights. The enemy drone will see a hot glowing soldier under a cold net. You need thermal blankets or space, air gaps between the net and yourself to scatter the heat. You must create standoff between your net in your body to dissipate the heat. MCON emission control. Turn your cell phones off, not silent. Off. A powered phone is a tracking beacon. You don't need to talk on the radio, don't transmit. Static discipline. Movement triggers detection. When you hear a drone, freeze.
Now I'm going to take you inside, and Al over there is observing it with thermals, and you're going to see how it looks like. We're a little bit less than 50 meters away from the position. Looking that way with bare naked eye, I can just see spruce and different greens. Nothing sticks out looking through the thermal. When I'm looking straight at it, I see some white hot spots when I know directly what to look at. Now as I stand up, actually there's a red hot signature as well. When I was scanning, it would definitely stick out, and that's with really good camouflage in the front and on the top. Black hot also sticks out, a little peeping hole, and the same with white hot. So it does reduce your signature, but whenever you're looking out from behind solid cover, you are visible. So to improve on that, you might want to have something transparent between you and what you're observing. So like a plexiglass styrofoam with tiny hole to peep through. So currently I'm a bit further away, around 100 meters, observing his direction. Currently he's just standing out in the open, right beside it. Yeah, and he pretty much vanished. So now I'm going to show you different angles. You just saw where he was. I can't seem to be able to pick him up again. Oh, there's something there. This is as much as I'm getting. Yeah, I see some heat. So you can see the signature reduction. So it's not 100%, but just this small dot, and you have to be really lucky to spot it. I would say it increases your chances around tenfold. Currently I'm trying to find the position. Al is standing over there right beside it, and this is how it looks straight from above. So it's pretty hard to notice. Currently I'm 100 meters in the air, and now we're going to take a look how the signature is going to change when he gets under there. So yeah, he pretty much disappeared. I'm trying now to observe under different angles to see if corner on the screen, that's me. But let's see if from different angles maybe I can get a better view. At the moment I was trying my hardest to find him, so I was really looking at a narrow specific area, and I had a very hard time. I pretty much couldn't do it. So if I'm just doing a regular flyover and I don't know where to look, I'm sure I couldn't find him. Before moving through an area, I always scan it with my drone. So a simple shelter setup like this can reduce your chances of getting detected from above, and also someone scanning moving past you, let's say an armored vehicle with a thermal.
By using thermal blankets or creating air gaps, the signature is masked. This is a standard we must achieve in the field. Basic soldier skills, even in a modern day of UAS and thermals, are pivotal. If passive defense fails, we move to active defense. Immediately alert everyone. Drone, direction, and distance. Disperse. 10-meter spacing minimum. Do not give them a multi-kill target. Overhead cover. Hug the tree trunks, get under the lab, figure out a spot to protect yourself. Engagement. If it is a group 1 drone, low and slow, and REs permit, mass small arms fire. Aim 2 to 3 lead lengths ahead. A single rifle won't hit it. A section firing a wall of lead will.
New concepts that are being tested today is engaging small UAS with organic small arms from the lab battalion. So shotguns, M1014s, M4 carbines, and M240 medium machine guns, crew circle weapons. The Marines understand the threat that is present from small UAS systems on whatever battlefield we go to next, and they are investing themselves in engaging them, learning from those engagements, and then giving us feedback on how the battalion as a whole can move forward towards this threat.
The kill web, holistic approach, where you're moving from a kill chain linear to a kill web networked. Passive detection, ODIN sensors listen without emitting. Active tracking, radars turn on when cued. The result, we kill the target faster without giving away our position until the last second. The difference between a kill chain and a kill web is resilience. In a chain, if one link breaks, the process fails. In a web, multiple sensors, including your eyes and ears, feed multiple shooters. You are no longer just reporting a drone. You are queuing a divisional fire solution. The infantry section is a sensor. This is the bottom line. You are the sensor. Radars have blind spots. They can't see behind mountains or into urban canyons. You can. You know the sound of a lawnmower engine in the sky. When you report that, you fill the gaps in the division's armor. You are the eyes of the division. To recap, the battlefield is transparent. Assume you are being watched. You are a sensor. Report what you see to feed the kill web. Passive defense, camouflage, dispersion, and radio discipline is what keeps you alive. Active drills save you when all else fails. The enemy is adapting every day. We must adapt harder.